Morning. What's up? I haven't made a video in a while because I honestly haven't felt like making a video in a while. So whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. Decided to make a video today because of a buddy named Nick that hit me up yesterday with a text, and we were conversating via text, and he got a new Lexus. Happy for him, proud of him, but it's got a 2JZ engine in it. It's a GS 300, and these aren't cheap engines, anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 depending where you get it. An engine you want to take care of. So he was getting his first oil change, and we got into that conversation of where should he go to get his first oil change, what kind of oil should he put in it is what he was asking. I'm going to talk about where he should go to get the oil changed. He didn't ask that. He just asked what kind of oil should he put. So I sent him a screen capture image of Valvoline Max Life 10W30. We live in Florida, y'all. No need for that 530 madness down here. We'll never get below freezing. We'll never get cold enough down here. Sunshine State. As you can see, the sun shining already. 10W30, besides that, he bought a used Lexus. This is new to him. It's not a 0-mile Lexus. So it's a new Lexus for him, but it's a used Lexus. And motor's already pretty much broken in. I think it had like 90-something thousand miles on it. Almost 100, you could say. Rounded up to 100. So 100,000 miles, the motor's broken in pretty well. And it's ready for some 10W30. And it was newer, maybe that 5W30, even in Florida, but we're not going to get into all that right now. The point is, I recommended Valvoline Max Life full synthetic. Max Life full synthetic for higher mileage engines with more than 75,000 miles, is one of the best little over-the-counter oils you can buy. They sell it everywhere. I personally prefer to shop at O'Reilly's or Napa. I don't shop at AutoZone or Advanced. I have my reasons. We'll leave that for a whole nother video. I'll throw in there real quick that AutoZone and Advanced have recently made some corporate moves, corporate changes that Advanced bought CarQuest, and they kind of mixed the two companies together, and AutoZone is just corporately pulling a Hail Mary, trying to figure out what they can do to become number one, and whoever's leading the charge is a dumbass. They got the people down below doing all kind of stuff, messing up commercial accounts and all kind of stuff. So anyways, I'm staying away from all that madness until they learn from their mistakes and get it right. It's not a matter of they have the best parts or the cheap parts. It's more of corporately they're making bad decisions. O'Reilly's, if you ask me, is on top of it as far as pricing and staying open the latest. They stay open till 10 p.m. Everybody else closes at 9. And Napa always has them beat on the quality of parts. Prices ain't always the best, but if you're not looking to be cheap and you just want a good quality part, you're gonna go to Napa. They close at 5:30. They need to learn to stay open later, at least till 9. So that's the downside to Napa. So when they close early, I end up at O'Reilly's. Those are my two favorite stores, and I mention them and speak a little extra about them because you can go and buy this oil over the counter there, but they are also the only two stores that have the contract to sell the oil filter that I'm recommending y'all buy. Now, before I move on to the oil filter, you can also get this Max Life Valvoline oil at Walmart. I really don't like to shop at Walmart. Honestly, if there's any major company I'd ever like to see go out of business, it's Walmart. I'd like to see somebody else demonetize Walmart and come up with something way better. Personally, I thought Albertsons in its heyday was a much better shopping experience, but they didn't adapt to the changes that are happening in the future, and that's why they fell off. Kind of see Walmart starting to head in that direction, but they're so big they'll hang around a little longer anyways. But Walmart definitely has the cheapest I've seen this oil. You buy the big jug, Valvoline Max Life 10W30. You ain't gonna get it cheaper nowhere than Walmart. I don't care if you got a commercial account or what the hell you got. Walmart's the cheapest place to go buy the oil. You can't buy your filter there, and I know people like the convenience of just going to one store, getting everything they need and being done. Can't do that. My mom, she knows how to get certain stuff at Bravo, at the little Hispanic supermarket. She knows how to get other stuff at Aldi. She knows what to get at Walmart, what to get at Publix. She knows what to get at Dollar Tree, at Save-A-Lot. She knows what stores to get what at. Well, mechanics is the same way. We know not to get a battery from here. We know to get oil from there. We know to get brakes from here. We know what to get where. And I wish you could get it all in one spot. You really can go to O'Reilly's and buy the oil and the filter. If you wanted to, you're just going to pay a little more for the oil. So if you're like me and you're really trying to get the cheapest oil price on the combo, you're going to make the effort, not be lazy. Go to Walmart, buy your oil, and then buy your filter separate from an O'Reilly's or a Napa. Now, the filter, we'll move on to the filter and try to make this video shorter. The filter, the best filter you can buy right now is called Wix. W-I-X, Wix. They have their normal line of Wix, and then they have their Wix Extended Performance. You'll see Wix XP. Extended Performance means it's built a little bit better, pretty much, to keep it simple. They can withstand a little longer change interval and have a little better micro filtering capability. So I personally go with the Wix XP filter. Not on all vehicles is it always available. On some vehicles, you'll only be able to get the Wix, not the Wix XP. Sometimes they won't have it in stock. This, that, and the other. So you want to make sure that they have a Wix XP available for you. So you either get the Wix or the Wix XP. Now, Wix doesn't pay me, and neither does Valvoline. If you ask me what oil I like best, I like AMSOIL. But you can only get AMSOIL at most Napa Auto Parts, and a few other specialty privately owned shops will sell it. For local people here, there's a place called Muffler Man. Google them. One of the best places to go buy AMSOIL from if you want the better quality oil. But I'm talking about any store in the United States of America. Anybody can go into a Walmart and get Valvoline Max Life or the regular Valvoline full synthetic. If you don't have more than 75,000 miles, if you're under, get the regular full strength synthetic. If you're over 75,000 miles, get the higher mileage full synthetic. But anybody can go into any one of these stores and easily get this oil. So that's why I recommend that oil instead of AMSOIL. If you have the know-how and the ability to go find you some AMSOIL, get you some AMSOIL. Wix is actually a qualified filter. that AMSOIL deems worthy as a filter that they allow to be used with their oil. AMSOIL will only give you the AMSOIL warranty if you use an AMSOIL filter or an AMSOIL qualified filter, and Wix is one. I'm not sure if K&N is. AMSOIL is the only oil that if your engine goes kapoots because of an oil lubrication problem, oil failure, then AMSOIL writes you a check for a brand new engine. I don't mean a junkyard engine. I mean a 0-mile crate motor installed, everything covered for on AMSOIL. I know no other oil company that has the balls big enough to make that claim and offer that warranty and stand behind it when it happens. It doesn't happen often, but it's happened, and they've stood behind it. They've honored their warranty. And then AMSOIL has the longest change interval. They have the highest heat tolerances that I've seen. Metal to metal creates friction. Friction creates heat. You want viscosity. You want strong lubricity in your oil that can withstand and not boil at low temperatures. You don't want it reaching its boiling point. The further away you can stay from your boiling point on your engine's oil, the better protected the engine is. So to keep it simple for the average person, Valvoline Max Life. Why Valvoline over like Castrol? You might be one of those, you're like, but Danny, I like Castrol. My daddy always used Castrol. My Uncle Billy always changed Castrol and our car ran forever. Well, guess what? Castrol's not a bad oil. Castrol's really not. You got Valvoline, you got Valvoline. Don't confuse those two. Also, it's Valvoline with a V as in Victor, not H as in Hector. But what I like about Valvoline over Castrol is Castrol's technically not a full synthetic. I read this literature a while back. It's not too fresh in my head, but I remember a while back reading an article, and it was in a Motor Trend magazine, got a subscription to them, about how Castrol had a lawsuit pending on them. So I went on the interweb after I read that short article and did some more research on it. And apparently they were being sued because they were claiming to be a full synthetic. And some nerd out there, some chemist, did some studies and realized that they're not a full synthetic, they're a synthetic clone. And Castrol weaseled their way out of the lawsuit with fancy lawyers, but what really won them the case was that the synthetic oil Castrol's producing meets the requirements of a full synthetic. Whether it is a real full synthetic or a clone of a full synthetic doesn't really matter. As long as it meets the requirements of a full synthetic, then legally they can call it a full synthetic and not be sued. But technically speaking, it was proven that they aren't technically a full synthetic. And I don't like that, but whatever. It's still a good oil. A lot of European cars use Castrol from factory. BMW, for one, swears by it. That's what they put in all their BMWs. Mercedes will use Mobil 1. I personally prefer Mobil 1 over Castrol. Mobil 1 makes a good oil. They really do. Mobil 1, Valvoline, and Castrol, I would say, are the top three that the normal public would be used to seeing on their shelf. I like Valvoline because bang for buck, and it's what I've used the most on customers' cars and had the best experience. When I say use the most, it's not like you saying use the most. Unless you're like me, where you're working on cars for a living, turning a wrench in a customer service environment for a living, 8-10 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, you're never gonna have the same experiences that I've had. So I experience this often maintenance, basic maintenance is part of any mechanic's life. I don't care if you're a master tech and you got a big ticket on an engine overhaul, still gonna need oil. So we see oil almost on every ticket, almost, that comes in. I do a lot of oil servicing, and every time I see a car that comes in, and let's say it went overdue, it has a 3,000 mile oil change sticker. 5,000 is really the common interchange now. So most cars, the computer, the service light is set for 5,000. That's when they want you to change it. So I see a car that'll come in for 5,000 mile oil change, and it's overdue 6,000 miles, sometimes even 10,000 miles. They went double the amount, and it'll be overdue. And I'll be like, let me take this filter off. And I not only look at how black the oil looks when it pours out. The average person will do that at home. They'll change their oil, and they'll, oh, look how black it's coming out, and they'll be impressed by that. That'll give them an idea of how overdue their oil is. But they never look at their actual filter. What I would do on these is I would take these oil filters off. I would get a grinder, and I would cut them. Yep, and cut them with a grinder. Cut the top off, take a look, pull the cartridge out, inspect the diaphragm, spring if it had one, everything, rubber retainers, the whole 9 yards. I'd go in for a deep inspection. Why? Because I knew it was, forget whether I had light service or heavy duty service, depending on how the person drove. It had almost double the life of what it should have been in the car. It was in there for a long interval. And we live in the Florida, again, Sunshine State. We got a lot of traffic here. I know this ain't like California traffic, but our traffic's getting bad here. We're getting populated here, especially after Hurricane Irma. We had a bunch of people from the islands coming here, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, you name it. Florida was freaking infested with people from the islands after Irma, and I don't blame them. I'd want to get out of there too and head to Florida if I was from there. But I'm just saying our population is growing fast here, and it's like 2 to 3 cars per household. It's crazy. So the traffic is getting bad, and these cars are idling in hot, sunny, humid weather, and then people are going way overdue on their oil. And I'm cracking these oil filters open to see which one really withstands, which one really holds up. And again, nobody's sponsoring this video. Nobody's paying me. Nobody's even sending me a 5% off coupon in the mail to say what I'm saying here. This is solely, I mostly look at customers' oil filters and cut them open selfishly for myself, because I want to know what's the best filter for me to put in my car. Right? Let's just be honest. That's really why I do it. I want to know what's the best filter to put in my personal vehicle. And I also like to, yes, be able to know what to recommend to my customers. I like to be in the know. And I don't care if it's a new car or an older car. I don't care what you're driving. Nobody makes an oil filter as good as Wix does, internally speaking. The guts, what matters on the inside of the filter. If you were to cut one open, whether you cut it open brand new unused, whether you cut it open used only for 5,000 miles, or used for 10, even this one lady came in 15,000 miles on oil change. Crazy. There's no, you shouldn't have gone 15,000 miles, lady, but whatever. She came in, I cut the filter open. Now, somebody was smart enough to have put a Wix in there. So she was told that she had some expensive oil and she could go that long. But I don't care, even if you have a Wix, that filter shouldn't go that long. Let's say you had AMSOIL, and AMSOIL can go 15,000 miles. The oil can, not the filter. At 5,000 miles, you're supposed to still change the filter and top it off. Then at 10,000 miles, change the filter again, top it off. And then at 15,000 miles, then you would drain the oil. So the oil can go 15,000, but you got to replace that filter every 5,000 and top off. She didn't do that. She left that filter on there the whole 15,000. She topped off once, I think she said. Her car didn't burn that much oil, but she didn't replace. She took those people for their word and just left that oil in there for 15,000 miles on a Mercedes-Benz, an older one too. And you know, high mileage, high SAPS oil, AMS oil is what was recommended and put in it. Just very good oil, but the filter should have been changed. Anyways, the point is, I've cut even filters like hers open, and I'm impressed every single time with the way these Wix filters hold up. I haven't seen one flaw in their filters yet. I haven't found one dud. There has been no runt in their litter. Every Wix filter I crack open is exactly flawless perfection on their quality, how it's assembled, how it holds up. I mean, these people know how to make an oil filter. That's all I gotta say. And this whole oil filter talk and oil, the discussion is simply going back to my friend Nick in the text. I explained to him, your oil is only as good as your filter. I would rather have cheap oil and a really good Wix filter than really good synthetic oil and a crappy filter. If the oil is the life of the engine and the filter is the life of the oil, then your engine is only as good as your filter, your oil filter. And what I see happen with these little quick in and out oil changes, you know, you got your Goofy Lube, you got your Pecker Boys, you know, you got all these little in and out hole in the wall places, Walmart, in and out, 10-15 minute oil change, right? $20, $30, whatever they charge you for their basic conventional oil. If they're pumping that oil out of one of those guns where they squeeze the handle and it's boop, 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 and it's got a little meter counting how much oil they're pumping in, that's coming out of a tank in the bottom of their pit where the guy's draining your oil down there. And all the old oil that gets drained out of cars, a big truck comes, picks it up, takes it to a refinery oil place, and they refine that oil, and they clean it up, so to say, rejuvenate it, and extract what they're going to extract, get rid of what they're going to get rid of. And it's like recycled oil. And then it's the lowest grade oil you can buy, and that's what they fill those big tanks up with, what they're pumping from the gun. It's the cheapest oil you can buy, like less than 1,000 miles on your engine since you've changed oil, and that oil's already broken down. It's very cheap oil, and that's the oil they're selling you for $19.99. I wouldn't put that in my car. And then they do have the bottled oils there, and they'll try to get you to upsell you to get you a nice, better bottled oil. And they overcharge for that is the problem that I see with that. They're overcharging for regular good oil and giving you that crappy refined oil for a cheap price. They get you to come in for the cheap price advertised on the crappy refined oil with a crappy no-name brand oil filter, white box, made in China, no real history on who even made that filter or what warehouse or where it's made or anything. Try to research these no-name brand filters, you get very little information. So they get you in the door in these places, they attract you in with that big price up there. Oh, $19.99 oil change. And that's what they're giving you, that refined oil with one of these non-name brand filters. Their goal is to get you in and upsell you, because they mark up the regular, I don't even call it grade oil, just regular oil like Valvoline, Castrol, Mobil 1, all that stuff on a shelf. They display it there for when you drive in. Oh, you can always upgrade to one of these better oils, and there'll always be a synthetic. They'll try to upgrade you to a synthetic, better bottled oil. and they overcharge for it. They mark it up, they make a profit off of it, and you're just paying more for what you could have grabbed yourself way cheaper at Walmart or O'Reilly's, Napa, wherever. But they do this obviously because they're offering you the convenience of it's already here and we're going to change it for you, right? So let's say you're like, screw it, Danny, I'll pay a little extra. I'll pay the markup. I don't care if they overcharge a little. I want the convenience. All right, I give you that. I'm not going to argue that with you. Even though you're willing to pay that on the oil, they're going to give you a no-name brand cheap oil filter. They're not going to offer you a Wix, not even a K&N. There's very few of those places that keep a couple K&Ns, and boy, do they mark them up. The ones that do. You never want a Fram filter. If they're offering you a Fram, Tough Guard, the outer shell of those, it looks nice, and it makes it real nice for the guy that's installing it to get a good grip on it and be able to tighten it good. But the inside of all Fram filters is basura, garbage. Fram doesn't make tough filters. So these Frams, all these other non-name brand filters, you know, you just want to stay away from all that. Not if there was any other one worth mentioning, it'd be the K&N. The Wix or the K&N are the only filters. Now, Mobil 1 makes a decent filter too. Nothing to brag about, but it's respectable. I would use it. So your top 3 oil filters would be Mobil 1's oil filter, the K&N would come in second place to me. It's a real close one in between the Mobil 1 and the K&N, but the K&N slightly better than the Mobil 1. And then I give Wix number 1, first place winner. Wix, obviously the XP being the better one, but even a basic Wix is better than a K&N or a Mobil 1. And then if we had to give you a 4th place, I'd go with a Bosch filter. Bosch, ain't as good as a Mobil 1, but it's not too far away from taking that 3rd place spot from a Mobil 1. But let's focus on the Wix filters. Back to what I was saying, you're gonna overpay for the oil at these oil places, and then you're gonna end up getting good oil, bottled oil, whether you get Mobil 1 synthetic or Castrol synthetic or Valvoline synthetic, whatever you get, you're getting good bottled oil, but you're getting a crappy filter. And again, I'm gonna say it again, I would rather have their freaking refurbished, you know, recycled oil out of their container and a Wix XP filter than their fancy bottled synthetic oil and their crappy no-name brand filter. The oil, your oil is only as good as the filter, and your engine depends on the oil and the ability to keep that oil filtered and clean. So anyways, moving on to the end of the video, it's getting long. There's no In-N-Out quick lube place that you'll go to that sells Wix, because from what I understand, Wix filters has some kind of contract where they sell only through specific people. The majority of there are 2 major contracts. Majority of people will find them at O'Reilly's and at Napa. You will never walk into AutoZone and find a Wix filter. They're not allowed to sell them. You'll never, ever. AutoZone has a contract with STP. STP oil filters, they're garbage. That's their bread and butter. STP oil filters. Everybody has, each different store has like their own special little contract. Advanced Auto Parts, you'll never go in there and get a Wix oil filter. You'll never find a Wix oil filter at Walmart or any other place like that. You're not going to find it. The only place you're going to get a Wix is O'Reilly's or Napa. Now, somebody might hit me up in the comments and say, Danny, I went to this one little spot where I live and they sold the Wix. Good for you. This isn't about you in your one little spot in your little town or your big city where you live, wherever. I'm talking about overall big picture to the masses. Nationwide, everybody that might be listening, the easy guaranteed place that everybody can go to no matter where you live is going to be an O'Reilly's or a Napa Auto Parts to get yourself a Wix. You know, you go down the street and the shop in your town, the main shop in your town has a contract somehow they worked out with Wix, or they buy them and keep them on their shelf or whatever. Good. That's good. You have somewhere else to go. I don't care where you get it from, just get you a Wix, and the majority of us will find a Wix filter, O'Reilly's and Napa. So the question becomes, the first question was, what kind of oil should I put in? Notice he didn't ask what filter. He didn't care about the filter. He just cared about the oil. People are brainwashed to think only about the oil. They're not even taught to think about the filter. So when he hit me up with this, I had to text him, and mind you, I'm not a texter. I hate texting. This kid's a millennial, for crying out loud. They're like allergic to a regular phone call. They can't handle simple old school phone conversation. They get all nervous and jittery if their phone rings. They're just used to texting their little life away. So I was communicating with them via text, as annoying as it was, and trying to explain to him without having it turn into some essay or paragraph to explain everything that I just told you in this little long video I'm making here. But the point is, we're not even taught these days to think about the filter. Everything that marketing and advertisement has brainwashed y'all with is the oil, the oil, the oil, the oil, the oil. I would rather have cheap oil and a good filter, y'all. It's backwards. They need to be marketing the importance of the filter more than they market the importance of the oil. But they don't do that. Because filters, the reason why is because it's about making money. And the filters don't cost as much as oil. You buy a filter for 10 bucks, you buy the oil for 40, 50 bucks, depending what you're buying and where you're buying it. So there's more of a margin, more of a profit in focusing people on good oil, because they can mark that up more. They can sell that for more than they can sell a filter. So because filters are sold for so little, they kind of devalue the filter and don't do a lot of advertising or marketing on it. From a mechanic standpoint of view, the filter is more important than the oil, because the oil is only as good as the filter. So moving on to conclusion here. I know I'm ranting about it, but this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. So for those of you that have hung on, thank you. And the last thing I'll say for those that stayed to the end is, to get this oil that I'm telling y'all to get, the Valvoline, whatever you decide to get, I would go with Valvoline Max Life Full Synthetic or regular Full Synthetic if you're under 75,000 miles. To recap, to get the Valvoline oil, you get it cheap at Walmart. To go get your Wix XP filter at Napa or O'Reilly's, you're gonna have to shop at 2 different stores. Yes, most likely, unless you want to pay a little extra for the oil, you can buy it at O'Reilly's too. They sell it there, and you can get your oil and filter at O'Reilly's. You can get your oil and filter at Napa. You'll just save a little more if you're willing to go to Walmart and get the oil there and just the filter at the auto parts. But the point that I'm making is, you're gonna have to buy the oil yourself and either do your own oil change or pay a guy you know to do it for you at home. Or you take it to that guy's house, or he comes to your house, or whatever. Simply because there's no oil place corporately. You can't go to the dealership and expect them to put Valvoline and a Wix XP filter in your car with their little maintenance program. And oh my God, let me not get into those free oil change maintenance programs at the dealer. Oh, if you knew the quality of oil they're putting in there. You think because it's the dealer, they're putting the good stuff and the right stuff, and it's the best stuff for your engine, right? Very wrong. Think because it's the dealer and the oil filter says Honda, and I drive a Honda, it's the best oil filter. Wrong. Cut those open too. It's ridiculous. And you think better of some of these companies, Honda, all of them. I mean, only ones that I've seen come with a decent factory filter, believe it or not, is Volkswagen and BMW. Their factory filters are pretty respectable. And Volkswagen's number one in the automotive industry, period. I mean, 268 billion reported in 2018. That's a lot of earned income. Yeah, B with a billion. 268. Look it up. Nobody else came even close to that. They're number one in the industry. So Volkswagen's doing good things with their factory filters. But the rest of these people, especially these little cheap Japanese cars, forget about it. You're getting a crap filter. All these Hyundai, Kias, Hondas, yeah, even Toyota puts a cheap filter on their cars. So, I mean, if I bought a brand new car, 0 miles on it, the first thing I do is go take that oil filter off. I drive home, take it off, put a Wix on it. Before it's even due, I wouldn't even drive it on that oil until it's due for its first oil change. I drive it straight home and get that crap off of it. But anyways, that's just me. The point is, you can't trust the dealer. You can't trust none of these places. You want to really protect your investment. You're spending anywhere from $5,000 on a used car to 40, 50 grand on a new car. It's a pretty big investment. You want to protect that investment. Your engine is only as good as your oil, and your oil is only as good as your filter. So stop going to these places that aren't understanding the importance of the filter and are overcharging you for basic oil. And if not, you're getting $19.99 of refurbished crap oil with a crap filter. And that's how you protect your investment. Ridiculous. And this kid bought a Lexus, and he thinks he can do that. He had a Nissan Sentra before with a little engine that he could go to the junkyard and get for $400 or $500. He's got a Lexus now with an engine that's at least $2,500 to $3,000. You're gonna want to protect that engine a little more. And then the last thing I'm gonna say about, not about the oil, but the people working in those places. I used to, when I was coming up and I was going to mechanic school, I worked at an oil lube place, a mobile lube, and I started on the pit in the bottom and worked my way up to the top and sold and sold and sold. And long story short, I got to learn the industry, talking to district managers and corporate people that would come in because I was number one in sales, and they would want to come in and shake my hand and meet me. Yeah, I was upselling everybody coming in there. Transmission flush, radiator flush, flush, windshield wipers, air filters, cabin filters. Wasn't even a mechanic yet. I was just a young kid going to mechanic school, but boy, I could sell. And all these corporate people would come in and they were trying to groom me for management and everything, and I ended up leaving that job before I became manager. I was making more in sales with the hourly plus the commission than I would have made as a manager anyways. They wanted to put me on a salary because I was making too much in my commissions, and I was already at the highest hourly. But the point is, I learned a lot about how they operate, their structure of business. And I wasn't certified yet or qualified to be working on a lot of those cars. I was learning as I was going, making it up as I was going along. And then I graduated from mechanic school and left that little dinky job and went to work as a real mechanic, starting at Pep Boys and working my way up. Went to Nissan, eventually to BMW and Ford, and worked for several dealerships. But back then, I wasn't an ASC certified technician, and I definitely wasn't qualified to be doing all these flushes and all this work on these people's cars. I wasn't certified by NATEF. I had no certifications at all. I was just a kid they hired off the street that knew how to, loosen a drain bolt and pop in an air filter and hook up some hoses to somebody's radiator. That's really all I was. I really wasn't qualified to be working on these people's cars to begin with. Were mistakes made? All the time. That's where I learned. That's where I got my feet wet. That's why we damaged a lot of people's cars, not intentionally, but unintentionally, just learning. And sometimes the company would do right and fix it, and sometimes they'd just wipe their hands clean and blame it on the customer and not us when it was really us. And I learned a lot about, how this corporate stuff operates and how they treat people. And I left that job, and the memories and the lessons stayed with me. So you want to risk it going to these places? Have at it. Keep doing your thing. You might say, oh, I have a good place. I've been going there for a while. I know the guys. They're so nice and friendly, and they treat me right. Maybe you're right. Maybe they do. Maybe they are nice. Maybe they do like you. Maybe they do mean well. They're still not qualified. I was nice. I meant well. I wasn't qualified to be working on those BMWs coming in there for an oil change. Damn sure wasn't qualified. I was a nice guy. I meant well. I was trying to make my commissions, but at the same time, I was trying to do good work, trying to make sure they got a good flush and a good air filter and good wipers, and wiped their windshield for them and topped off their air pressure and did everything I could, to offer them good service. I was a good dude, but I wasn't qualified. So whether you got a place where they're good guys or not, they're really technically, ask them if they're ASE certified. Ask them. It's very rare you go in one of these places and see an ASE certified guy changing oil. You know why? Because any ASE certified guy is going to make more working as a tech, as a real technician. He's not going to want to change oil anymore. That's why he got certified, so he don't have to change oil. Now, that was good back in the day. Cars were more simple. Nowadays, these cars have become more complicated. The engines are more covered up. More stuff has to be removed. The engineering behind them, they're more temperamental to oils. We got these cars that are running on 0W20 and stuff like that. These cars that oil pressures are really important. You can't overfill them by a quart and expect to not have high oil pressure and blow out one of your high pressure seals, like your rear main seal that'll cost a lot to repair, your crank seal, your valve covers. I mean, a lot of these cars, you overfill them even by a little bit, and you're blowing out seals and gaskets that are going to cost a lot of money and labor to replace. And when your car is new, you might not notice it, but you've been going to the same place, and this guy's gun isn't calibrated, and he's pumping your car full of oil thinking he's pumping it to the right amount, and because his guns haven't been calibrated and who knows when, he's really pumping in more than what your car should be having in it. And now your car is driving around overfilled on oil, and they're not gonna drain out, ooh, we accidentally overfilled. They're not gonna drain it back out. They need to get you in and get you out. They're going to be like, yeah, oil looks good, and let you drive right out overfilled. Anyways, I could talk about this for 2-3 hours because I have that much experience and that much stories to share on the subject. But I think I've driven home the message here. You want it done right, do it yourself. Or find a guy that'll come to your house that you can go to his house. Make sure that guy's qualified and knows your car. My girl, she has a son. His name's AJ, and he is, I think, 15, somewhere around there. Smart kid, man. He can change the oil, and maybe he doesn't know how to change the oil on a BMW or one of these fancy cars, but he can learn. And if that's your car, the information's out there on the little interweb. And he can be taught and he can learn, and then he'll know how to maybe not change oil on all the fancy cars, but he'll know how to do that fancy car properly. And if he likes it and he wants to learn, I say teach him. I was telling her, teach him to change. He's the younger brother of this other guy I'm talking about, Nick. Teach him how to change Nick's oil, and let him get good at changing Nick's oil, and let him do it. He ain't gonna charge Nick to do it. Maybe Nick will give him lunch money or whatever to be a nice big brother, but it's not like AJ is going to be charging him, and all Nick would have to do is, the guy making the video about it, is go buy the oil that I mentioned at Walmart, get the filter at O'Reilly's or Napa. He's saving money, and get his little brother some lunch, and he knows he's getting good oil, good filter. It's going to protect that $3,000 engine he's got under the hood of that Lexus, and it's going to be a happy engine driving around in one of the hottest states in the United States, down here in the South. Sunshine State. And not only that, his little brother is going to do it with more love than any guy at a lube place, because he loves the stuff. He has fun doing it, and it's good learning for his little brother. It's good experience for his little brother. But Maybe you don't, maybe you have a little brother, maybe you don't. Maybe you have a husband, maybe you have an uncle. I don't know. Maybe you have a neighbor across the street, somebody that you have somewhat of a relationship established with and you trust. And they, maybe they don't know your car right off the top, but they can easily learn your car, and they would be much better to be having as somebody that you keep coming to do your oil change. And if not, there's plenty of reputable mobile mechanics out here. OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Find somebody. Get on Facebook. Ask your friends. Put on your timeline. Who can refer a good mechanic to do basic maintenance, like change my oil, blah, blah, blah. And eventually you'll find the right guy. You might have to go through 2 or 3 of them to really find the one that you feel comfortable with. But it's worth putting that effort in. Having that guy, that mechanic that on the side that you can count on is just as important as having a good relationship with your dentist, with your doctor. So anyways, I'm gonna let y'all go. I've talked too much even for myself. Thanks for everyone that made the time to listen. Super duper long video, but very valuable information as far as protecting one of the most important investments you make other than your house is your vehicle. It's what gets you around, and oil is the most important thing to keep that engine. If you got a $3,000 engine, most of these modern engines, yeah, if you're driving a respectable car, that's about what your engine is worth. And good oil is the life of the engine. Filter is the life of the oil. So I hope y'all not only got the message but apply it, and wish y'all nothing but the best with your vehicles. Hopefully you don't have to find out how painful it is to have to pay for a new engine. God bless y'all. Make it a good day. Peace.